So today we're diving into the Nobel Prize, an award, known worldwide, but its origins and some of the lesser known facts. They're way more compelling than you might realize. Our mission here in this deep dive is really to explore your sources, to get a handle on not just what this iconic award is, but maybe more importantly, why it even exists and why it still holds such profound importance today.
Absolutely. And, beyond the really famous names that we all recognize, there's just such a powerful story here. It's about legacy. It's about personal transformation, and really the enduring march of human progress. It really is a remarkable tale, how one person's moment of reflection, triggered by something unexpected, could shape the future for generations.
Okay, so let's talk about the person who made it all possible. Alfred Nobel. Let's start there. He was born in Sweden way back in 1833. He was, a scientist, an inventor, definitely a businessman. And he made this huge fortune through an invention that, looking back, feels pretty ironic. Dynamite.
Yeah, dynamite. And what's really remarkable, I think, about Nobel's story is this turning point, the moment that kind of redefined his whole life's purpose. It happened in 1888. His brother Ludwig died, but a French newspaper, they messed up. They reported that Alfred had died, and the headline, "The Merchant of Death is Dead."
Wow. Just imagine reading that about yourself.
Right.
It's like getting this scathing review of your entire life before you're even gone. That's quite a wake-up call.
It really was, exactly. That moment, seeing himself labeled a merchant of death, it was obviously a profound shock. And it seems that shock spurred him to make this extraordinary decision, basically to use most of his massive fortune to fund prizes for people who, in his words, help the world.
That's such a powerful point. I mean, most of us don't get a preview of our own obituary, right? Let alone one that's so brutally different from how we'd want to be remembered. So what does this specific incident tell us about maybe the power of an external trigger? How it can shape someone's legacy?
Oh, it reveals something profound, I think, that sometimes you need that kind of shocking external mirror, like a mistaken obituary, for someone to really confront their legacy, to fundamentally shift their life's purpose. Nobel's story, it isn't just about the money, it's about this dramatic, very public reevaluation that led to redirecting that wealth in a way that truly changed the world.
What an incredible example of turning a personal crisis into something that benefits everyone globally. So Alfred Nobel dies in 1896. His vision starts taking shape, and then the very first Nobel Prizes were awarded. That was 1901. And initially, there were 5 distinct categories: peace, literature, physics, chemistry, and medicine. The originals.
Right, the original 5. And what's interesting, if you look at the sort of bigger picture, the award didn't just stay static. It wasn't frozen in 1901. While those first 5 categories were the foundation, a 6th prize for economics was added much later in 1969. And that's not just a footnote. It shows the award has kind of thoughtfully evolved. It's adapted to new fields, new areas of human achievement, but it still kept its core focus on contributions that really benefit humanity.
So who are these remarkable people who get this global recognition? We know some names, of course. People like Marie Curie, Albert Einstein. Their work in physics and chemistry was just foundational. Or more recently, Malala Yousafzai fighting for girls' education. Martin Luther King Jr., his incredible work in civil rights. Mother Teresa helping the poor. The criteria seem pretty clear. It's about great discoveries or powerful stories or that tireless work for peace. And what's really compelling is, despite these wildly different backgrounds, their contributions all profoundly helped humanity.
That's it. And what's fascinating here isn't just who wins that gets the headlines, right? But it's also what they actually receive. And maybe even more important, the sort of intangible impact. Tangibly, okay, each winner gets a pretty striking gold medal, a personalized certificate, and a substantial chunk of money, often over $1 million.
Okay, so beyond that significant financial reward, you mentioned an immense intangible reward. Thinking about someone like Marie Curie, given, the huge challenges she faced as a woman in science back then.
Absolutely.
Or someone like Martin Luther King Jr., facing such immense adversity. How much more significant do you think that global recognition, that respect was compared to the money?
That is a great question, because while the money is obviously life-changing for anyone, for many laureates, especially those in humanitarian fields or, those who've overcome massive obstacles, that global respect, that validation, it can be far more powerful. It just amplifies their message. It opens doors. It cements their place in history in a way money can't. It often gives their cause a spotlight it might never have received otherwise. It sort of proves that all that painstaking, sometimes lonely work was actually worth it on a global scale.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now let's get into some of those intriguing details, the ones that often get overlooked, but give us an even richer picture of the prize.
Okay, yeah, some fun facts, if you like. Take Marie Curie again. We focus on her discoveries, naturally, but she's actually the only person ever to have won Nobel Prizes in 2 different sciences, physics and chemistry. Just unparalleled.
Wow, 2 different fields. That's incredible.
Isn't it? And here's another sort of unique quirk. The Nobel Peace Prize, it has its own distinct home. All the other prizes, they're awarded in Sweden. But the Peace Prize, that's given out in Norway.
That's always struck me as a bit curious, that separation. Do the sources give us any clues why Nobel decided to split them like that? Sweden and Norway.
They do suggest it was a very deliberate choice by Nobel himself. See, Sweden and Norway were in a union at that time, and he likely believed that involving Norway, which had a strong tradition of neutrality and, humanitarian efforts, would give the Peace Prize extra credibility, maybe a more independent standing, keep it separate from the scientific and literary prizes handled by Swedish institutions. It was actually quite forward-thinking, trying to ensure its perceived impartiality.
Ah, okay, that adds up. Ensuring impartiality for the Peace Prize. Makes perfect sense. And history, of course, has left its mark on these awards too, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. World War II, for instance. Huge impact. Because of all the turmoil, no Nobel Prizes were given out in 1940, 1941, or 1942. It just highlights how even something as globally recognized as the Nobel Prize isn't immune to major world events. And then there's the rule about posthumous awards, giving it to someone after they've died. Generally, a Nobel Prize cannot be awarded after death. There's one single exception. That's if a winner dies between the announcement of the prize and the actual awards ceremony in December. Only then.
Right. So it's not like a lifetime achievement award in the sense that you can nominate someone after they're gone.
Exactly.
It really seems to emphasize that the prize is about recognizing active, maybe ongoing contributions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's about celebrating living impact.
Precisely. It really underscores this idea of acknowledging and celebrating people for their active role in shaping the world right here, right now, which I think adds to its power, actually.
Yeah. Those details, they really do add another layer to the whole story. It's fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, this deep dive brings us back to the core importance. Why does the Nobel Prize still matter so much today?
So yeah, what does this all mean for us, for you listening? I think the Nobel Prize's enduring power. It lies in its ability not just to reward great ideas, but maybe more importantly, to powerfully validate them, to validate the painstaking, often quite lonely work of people pushing humanity forward. It celebrates individuals who dedicate themselves, to saving lives, fostering peace, discovering incredible new things, inspiring us through art or words. It proves that abstract thought, that ideas can have real, concrete, world-changing impact.
It really does serve as this profound reminder, doesn't it? That one single person can make an extraordinary difference in the world. It encourages all of us, I think, to think critically about how individual contributions, whether they feel large or small, can ripple through society and genuinely shape our collective future. And that really wraps up our deep dive into the Nobel Prize. We've gone from Alfred Nobel's personal quest for a better legacy, sparked by that shocking headline,
The Merchant of Death.
Right, all the way to the enduring impact these awards have today. It's a system that, amazingly, more than 120 years later, continues to honor hope, truth, and human progress.
And maybe a final thought, something for you to mull over. Just consider how the original intentions of one person, Alfred Nobel, shaped by such a surprising, almost random event like that mistaken obituary, how that could create such a lasting global framework, a framework for recognizing and inspiring humanity's greatest achievements. What does that tell you about the unpredictable ways purpose can sometimes emerge, and how profoundly it can shape the future?